what were you doing exactly? What did life look like exactly before you broke into tech?
Great question. And before I get started, I just want to thank you, Cyrus, for the opportunity to come onto your platform and to tap in with your community. It's certainly an honor and a privilege to be here and discuss tech and just discuss, an array of different topics as well with your community. So again, thank you. I'm humbled and I'm appreciative because you are actually one of the bigger reasons why I was able to get into tech as well. So I wanted to say that first. And secondly, what life was like before tech. Well, I've been a content creator and teaching and assisting our people in on social media for quite some time. Actually, it's been about 10 years. I've been creating videos and speaking on topics that exist within the community. Looking to add, I just realized that like when I was going back through my Facebook on how long I had been actually putting out videos. So yeah, it's been quite some time. But just on a mission to be able to help our people and come out of the current condition that we are in when it comes to our finances, as well as our spirituality, our economics, our politics. So, that's what life was like prior to. But as we know, when it comes to trying to making money, that can be an obstacle within our community when it comes to specifically Black men. So I was actually at a point in my life where I was trying to increase my finances, obviously trying to, get into financial freedom, multiple streams of income, all of these different things. And I've been in entrepreneurship since about 2014 in entrepreneurship. And a part of that, obviously, as you know, and people who are entrepreneurs understand the importance of having money to invest into your business. So I was in that particular area, and I was trying to figure out a way to free up my time to be able to make more money to invest into the business. And a lot of us who work jobs that are not remote, you obviously are trading time for money. So you spend a lot of time going to your job that takes you away from something else you could be doing in order to bring home money that you want to use for different endeavors and things of that nature. So I had a little rough patch going on in that particular area, and I was searching for something. I actually went to community college and was in the process of actually taking IT in community college, but life happened, wasn't able to finish that.
I don't think you ever, because for those of you guys, so Cam is one of the, he's one of the few people that I brought on my live that I've actually hung out with him before bringing on my live. So we didn't know each other before he started working to get in tech, but then after he got in tech, we just connected. He actually brought me onto his platform, and he and his wife invited me out to a really nice, a popular restaurant out here in Atlanta. Got to eat real good out there.
Yes, sir.
And so, and I remember when you had told me your story, I don't remember you sharing the part that you initially had thought about trying to get in IT.
Yes, it was probably back in 2000 and maybe 2013 or something around there, 2012, 2013. I was going to school for IT because, that was something that I've always been interested in, computers and technology just overall. So that was an aspect of it back then, but wasn't able to continue and follow through. So fast forward to now, I was looking to go into sales because I wanted to develop the skill of sales. And the reason why is because it's key as an entrepreneur, whether you have services or you have products, being able to sell and understanding that skill set, building up that resilience and being able to overcome rebuttals and all of those different things are extremely important when it comes to being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, definitely.
Sales and entrepreneurship are intertwined with one another. So you can't have one without the other. So that was one of my leading motivations behind trying to do that. So in the process of that, I was introduced to tech sales. And what you'll hear is a lot of millionaires talk about sales, but they never say tech sales. Tech sales is a different type of sales than what your traditional sales job looks like. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking about B2C sales, whether that's real estate agent, car salesman, cell phone, jewelry. That's a different type of sales versus what tech sales is.
Yeah.
So I'm not even gonna go down that way, but so I got introduced into tech sales. And in the process of me getting into tech sales, I was told that that was one of the easier ways to get into tech is through tech sales. And then what happened was I was having a conversation with my sister, and she is the one who actually recommended your Instagram page. She recommended your Instagram page to me to start following your content.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sitting at work one day, and and there's a Tesla charging station in the parking lot, and I'm seeing all of the Teslas coming through. And this was like the epiphany that I had about why tech was like something I needed to really gravitate to.
Yeah, because I was wondering like what made you, because I understand that your sister had like sent my page and you had been looking at things, but it's like, what was it that you saw that kind of made it be like, made kind of the spark go off?
Absolutely. So I'm sitting in the parking lot and I'm noticing the Teslas coming into the charging station. And my background in business is always, okay, when you see something, when you break it down into parts, that's an opportunity or a job for you to be able to do when you break it down. One of the things that somebody told me was that Home Depot sells houses, right? Home Depot sells houses, but they sell it to you in parts. So
that's cold.
Yeah,
that's
so
real.
That's real. They sell you a whole house, but they break it down parts by part by part.
Wow.
Okay. So it's the same thing you do when it comes to industries and different services. So I'm looking at the Tesla charging station and I break it down into parts, and I'm looking at the use of it. I'm looking at the installation of it. I'm looking at the fact that it's going to have to be used at other places, because at that point the electric 18-wheeler had just came out. It had just rolled out where people could start putting in their orders for the electric 18-wheeler. So I'm thinking, okay, charging stations are going to have to be on the highway. Charging stations are going to have to be at truck stops. So the software is going to have to be serviced. The parts are going to have to be serviced. When they go down, people are going to have to fix the parts. So I'm thinking about all of the investment opportunities, all the opportunities that exist in tech, because everything is going through tech. No matter what industry, medical, finance, logistics, food, there's a technical application, whether you're dealing with HR, whether you're dealing with the actual services, IT services, or whether you're actually dealing with the cybersecurity aspect of it or the project management aspect of it. They have technical services and software that are doing these jobs, that are doing these functions. And because they have technical software that are doing these functions, they need people who can sell the software and sell the services, and then you need people that can implement the services as well. So all of these areas have to be filled. So now I said, it clicked. I was like, I gotta figure out a way to get into tech. So then, like I said, my sister introduced me to tech sales, and then she introduced me to your page, so I started following the content. And as I'm following the content, I'm loving the content, because I'm a person who is moved by the testimonials of somebody real actually benefiting from something that they talk about.
Exactly. It's not just somebody pushing something or mentioning something that they're like, oh, I'm getting paid to talk about this thing that I don't really know that much about. I just have a script that I'm
Absolutely, absolutely. So that was the biggest draws for me with you. It was authentic. And then as you constantly tell your story about you having your ex-military background, but you was driving Uber, and you came into the realization that a lot of the people that you was dropping the food off were working in tech. A lot of different people like that living in high-rise condominiums and things like that. And then you started the journey, and there was no Cyrus for you to go and look at the content. So you literally had to go and Google boot camps and be able to find this information out. And now that you went through it yourself, you put your own money up, you actually got results from it, you actually making money. So now you helping other people do the exact same thing. So that was the biggest thing that drew me to the content. So now I'm going through the content, and once I'm convinced on something, I'm gonna go ahead and make the move. So I initially wanted to go in the exact same footsteps that you had with sales engineer, but I couldn't afford it. So I went to careerists. I had filled out the information, talked to the careerist people and all of that kind of stuff, but I just didn't have the money at the time to pay for the careers.
Were you
So then
were you considering doing the? And I'm just curious. Were you considering doing the sales engineering, or were you still looking at tech sales?
No, I was going to do sales engineering. I was going to do exactly what you did.
Okay, cool.
I was going to do exactly what you did. So going through that, I wasn't able to pay for the careers. But then you offered the course careers option.
Yeah.
And now the course careers option, that was in my ballpark.
That's the part.
That was in my financial wheelhouse right there. So once the course careers was available, and then on top of that, you had the option to do the payment plan. I said, I can do this because I'm a person that's willing to bet on myself. So if I said I'm gonna pay the $500, I done lost $500 doing other things before that would not be able to get me a skill, not have an ROI on the thing that I purchased. So why not put the $500 up and see if I can make this work? Because a lot of people pay for courses and a lot of people get good information, but in their mind, they don't execute on the information, and then they try to say that the course was bad. And that's not always true. That's not always true. It's about you taking the information and then working that information.
Yes.
Because you have people that go through course careers or go through careers and it doesn't necessarily pan out the way that they wanted to pan out. But it's because sometimes they're not working the information. Consistency and working the information is extremely key. So once I was able to do that, I paid my $100, got into course careers, and I got to work. I wasn't playing. I ordered my books because it's 3 books that you have to read in the beginning of course careers. I ordered those books, and I was at work reading my books. So in between time at work, I'm reading my books and I'm going through the course. And then after I finished the course in about 4.5 weeks, I remember vividly, I started the course at the last weekend in July of 2022.
Okay.
And I finished the course the 3rd week in August of 22.
Okay.
So by that time, I finished the course, and then about a week later, I was able to take the final exam. Once I took the final exam, I passed it on the first try, took the final exam, and the next step was to go ahead and start applying at companies.
Yeah.
So that's what I did.
Did you wait until, and obviously either way it worked out for you, but did you wait until you finished the course to start applying, or were you applying before you finished the course?
No, I waited until I finished the course because we was advised to not apply for companies until we finished the course. And the reason why, because I've talked to people who have applied prior to finishing the course. And the reason why we was told not to is because if you haven't been able to do the mock interviews, if you are not comfortable or able to articulate your soft skills and what you learned in the course in the interview, then you're going to mess up the interview, right? So the purpose is to get the interviews and be able to perform at a high level so that you are able to execute and ultimately move on to the next round of interviews to ultimately get the job. So there's no need, so there's no need to play around to mess around and not get the job because you fumbled in the interview because you didn't go all the way through the process as the course is concerned. So I waited all the way to the end before I started applying.
Okay, cool. All right, so what was the timeline from between when you finished the course? Because I know you said you finished it, you said sometime in August of last year, right?
Yes, about the third week in August. I think I finished the course around the 19th or the 21st of August, and I took the final exam around the 23rd or something like that, and got my results back around the last week in August.
So when you finished the course, you finished the course, then you started applying. How long? So first, how long was it until you got your job? And then second, what was that process like for you? The applying, the interviewing, what did that look like for you?
Well, one thing about course careers is that they have what is called partner companies.
Yeah.
And the partner companies with course careers are companies that no course careers have students that are trained in a specific role. And if they're hiring at the time, then they will basically have course career students on a preferred list of as the applications come in. So if they see that you are a course career student, then they're going to give you an opportunity because they know the level of training and education that you receive because you matriculated through the course. So
Bro,
they have that.
can you pause real quick? I want to let people know this. I'm seeing a few questions popping up in the chat. Hey, y'all, if y'all can please post your questions in the question box. So that way, there's like a question circle or a question tab that's on here. If you put your question in there, after Cam is done telling his story, we'll be able to address those questions. So make sure you post the questions inside of the question box. My bad, bro. Go ahead.
You're good. So that's where I started. One of the things that Course Careers offers is they offer resume building. They help you outline your resume, and they also help you start to build up your LinkedIn. So the only thing that I didn't do in order was the LinkedIn part. I started building the LinkedIn after I had finished the course. But so I started with the partner companies. And they also give you outlines for emails to how you should email a recruiter, the best way that you should formulate that email with information about the company, what interested you with the company. And this is a follow-up email that you should send after you have already sent in the application. So I was following this process literally to the T. And I started with all of the partner companies, and then I worked my way to companies that were listed on LinkedIn. And that was my process. I would apply for companies, and then I would take the email templates, and then I would just make different templates and then send them to different recruiters. So basically I would make a template and then just change out the recruiter name and change out the company and the information, and then resend it to that current company that I applied for. So that was pretty much my process.
That's a clean process.
Yes, sir, that's it. So that's pretty much the process that I did with all of the companies, starting with the partner companies and then moving out to the companies that are on LinkedIn.
Okay. And what was, maybe I missed this. So you finished the course in August. At what point did you receive an offer letter or basically accept your role?
So this is why writing things down is so important. Because it's one thing to say you're going to do something, but it's another thing to put it on paper, because now you're going to begin to do the things necessary to bring it into existence. So I went back and looked at my notebook that I have, where I took all of my notes from Course Careers and in that notebook was written down the amount of money that I wanted to get paid and how soon I wanted to finish the course. And when I look back, I actually was able to accomplish both finishing the course by the deadline. I was off the deadline by a day or two, but I was pretty close with the deadline, and the amount of money was spot on.
That's
so
crazy.
It's crazy when you look back at it, but I was that determined, I was that driven, and I was that I was that intentional about what I was doing. So in the process of that, I'm applying for companies every day. I mentioned that I finished the course, pretty much I was done, and I started applying around the third to last week in August. I applied for companies all the rest of August and all of September. I had a few interviews within that time. I had one interview with a partner company with Course Careers, and then I might have had another interview with another company, and then I also had a interview with the current company that I'm with now. And in that process, I was able to make it through the 3 rounds of interviews, and I was given an offer letter for the company that I'm with now for at the end of September for a start date of October the 3rd, 2022. So it took me about 30 days. Yeah, it took me about 30 days.
That's a lot faster than I thought.
No,
Man,
I won't
you finished your course in August. You got an offer in September for you to start in October.
In October, yep.
That's fire.
And so let me say this. I'm going to add this caveat too, because what some people run into when they're applying for jobs is you have to understand, in the tech world or in corporate America, fourth quarter, December through March is when they shut everything down.
Yeah.
So
that's usually when it's hardest to get like a job, is within that time period.
Exactly. So if you finish in the fall, or you finish in the fourth quarter and you start applying for jobs in November December and January, you're not gonna get no calls because everybody out on vacation, everybody gone for the holiday, all of that kind of stuff too. So I finished right before people was leaving. So I finished right before people was leaving, and I was putting in applications, and I was just blessed to be able to get in. So I don't want you to think that that you're gonna finish the course and you're gonna get a job in 30 days. I want you to be consistent. I want you to be dedicated, right? But I wanted to also make sure that you understand the reality of it. And I learned that working in tech, that, you know, around that time, fourth quarter, everybody's taking time off. You know, all of the HR is gone for 2 to 3 weeks and things of that nature because of the holidays and because of fourth quarter. They're trying to get everything together to start their first quarter at the beginning of the year. Top of the year, they're getting the budget together and things of that nature. So I wanted to add that caveat to it as well.
Again, y'all, I'm seeing a lot of questions in the chat. Please make sure you're putting your questions in the question box so that way we can address them at the end. But one thing, yeah, bro, I didn't realize you got a job within a month. Most people, one thing I want to add to what you said to kind of give clarity for everybody is that most people that I see getting jobs after finishing these boot camps, they get a job somewhere between 2 to 5 months, somewhere within that window. So for me personally, whenever people hit me up and they say, hey, Cyrus, I did a boot camp, it's like, I don't have a job yet. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, when did you finish the boot camp? And they're like, oh, I finished it 2 months ago. I'm like, player, that's not that long ago. So as much as like his story is dope that he basically got an offer with like a month basically after finishing the boot camp, I got an offer 2 months after finishing my boot camp. And y'all, those of y'all that have seen my lives before, I've interviewed about 4 or 5 people that got offers before they even finished the boot camp. So basically, they got an offer like immediately. So even though these things happen, and I promise y'all, I don't try to handpick like these like amazing stories. I really don't try to. I love interviewing people sometimes where like they say, oh, it took me 5 or 6 months even. I'm like, yo, I love that because I love people hearing like the grind. Like sometimes it's a grind. You know, sometimes it's not right away, you know, you get a job. And so, of course, depending on like how you're doing things, if you're doing them the proper way, going back to what Cam said earlier, if you're being organized, if you're taking the information that they give you and you're working it well, that can expedite your entire process. Nevertheless, we're not pushing get rich quick schemes. We're not pushing, oh, this is easy peasy. It's more so, hey, this is a process, this is a system. If you work it right, you work it properly, and also that you have a certain level of patience, you definitely will be able to get into this industry. So I want to be clear on all of that, but I love all of the gems and stuff that the bro is dropping. So you were able to break into the industry a month after finishing the course. I love that you had mentioned kind of there being that lull time period that happens during the winter, basically during the transition, because going from Q4 to Q1. And so, yeah, that's something that doesn't generally happen throughout the rest of the year, except for some companies have a different Q4 or different Q1. Like some companies, their Q1 isn't January, February, March. Some companies, their Q1 is a different time.
July. It's July.
Yeah, exactly. It can be random.
Yeah.
So it can be different with different companies. But I love you dropping that piece because I don't think that's something that we've shared before on the live, and that's very important for people to hear and to know about. So, all right, bro, so you're able to break into the industry, and all right, so you got in the industry. What has your experience been like? Like, I guess what was different for you with working in tech versus other jobs or careers that you had before? Whether we're talking the culture, whether we're talking the benefits, what has that been like exactly for you?
Absolutely. So it's completely different from any other job that I've ever worked before. And I'm pretty sure people in the comment section, Cyrus, I know you know, when you worked a job, whether it was in retail or any, pretty much industry, you got the job. It was pretty much maybe 1 or 2 interviews. You got the job. You went to work, right? They kind of trained you on what you was going to do. You got a manager, or you got, supervisor, whoever you report to. And it's pretty much a cookie cutter kind of what it is that you do. And it's pretty much, you just like a cog in the system, if you will. It's not really much of a say-so that you have in the company. You're not able to negotiate salary, things of that nature. None of that type of conversation happens traditionally in the jobs in the world that we come from. So for me, the culture was different. You know, the culture was different because, again, coming from a background in a world that does not offer that, you know, you're not really there with leverage, so to speak. You're there because you're trying to get a job so that you can get your stuff together.
Yeah.
So that's a culture shock was, you know, one of the things, right? As far as for me specifically, and I don't want to give a general statement because it's different at all tech companies, but I know for me, and you can also probably bear witness to this, when it comes to smaller companies, the company that I work for now, we have a small sales team. It's not very many of us on the sales team. So, and with that being said, that allows for a lot of growth. There's a lot of opportunity to learn, a lot of opportunity to voice opinions, to fix problems that you may see so that you can add value, right? Things of that nature that don't exist in regular retail jobs or, you know, regular corporate America jobs and things like that. So the opportunities that exist there is totally different. You know,
so you have an opportunity to actually influence your work and actually have a voice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you work there, and 90% of the jobs in tech are going to be remote. So you have some jobs that are hybrid, which means that you'll work a few days in the office and a few days at home. But majority of your work is going to be done remotely. So they send you. Now, a lot of people, and throughout the last 3 years with the pandemic, a lot of jobs have converted to remote. But this is a norm in the tech company where they send you the equipment, right? You're able to work from anywhere in the United States. And some companies even say internationally, long as you have a connection to Wi-Fi. So that's something completely different where you actually you don't have to go anywhere and you don't have to be somewhere at a specific time. You literally can work from your office. You can work from your car. You can work from Starbucks, wherever you would like because of the remote access that you have. And then the responsibility that is placed on you because you are there to be accountable for the work that you do, the progress that you make, the stats that you put up. All of that is a responsibility placed on you. There's nobody coming to you saying, hey, Cyrus, did you do X, Y, and Z? Or, hey, Cyrus, did you call these amount of people? Or did you email these amount of people? It's nobody going to ask. Nobody going to ask you that.
Yeah, it's not like a micromanaging thing in this industry.
Right, absolutely. They're not going to just ask you and micromanage you throughout the time that you're there. You're just expected to perform. And this is beautiful for me because when you're talking about entrepreneurship or techpreneurship, then you know, you have to be your driving force to accomplish the things that you have to accomplish. As an entrepreneur, you don't have a supervisor either. So these things, these skill sets that you learn, the discipline that you learn, the accountability that you learn, all of this is in harmony with growing and becoming your own boss and having ownership and stake and things like that. So aside from that, you have the high-paying salaries. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't know anywhere that you could go in the door without a degree or without experience and making $65,000 base, $85,000 total comp in a company without no degree and no experience.
Yeah,
it's
entry level, like just entering in at the bottom, making like senior management pay in most other companies or most
absolutely. You're talking about, you know, $85,000 or over $100,000, $110,000 is what a lot of district managers or regional managers may be making. I was even listening to something earlier today where they were saying that some, you know, senior level network analysts make about $120,000. This is senior level, you know, in a company where it's Cyrus, you interviewed SDRs that make more than, that make more than
$100,000. Yeah, no, I've interviewed SDRs. I mean, a couple dudes, there was one dude I interviewed who came onto my live. He was 19 at the time. He had just broken the industry. He got the same role that you have. SDR role, $125,000.
See?
And then, another homegirl who I brought onto the podcast, she also came onto my live last year, $135,000. So, and these are all entry level, like the bottom, like that's the lowest they're going to make it. It's only up, like after that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the high paying salaries is another thing that's a culture shock because this helps those of us who are obviously trying to make more money, diversify their portfolio, debt consolidation, all of those different things. And what it allows you to do is once you are able to get yourself cleared up, right? Now from there, you have opportunities that are available to you if you want to invest. There's opportunities for you to, you know, clean up the credit and then be able to get lines of credit that will allow you to leverage that for investments, diversify your portfolio. If you're looking to go into business, if you're looking to get a loan, right? If you get a loan, this is a beautiful thing, is because you have W-2 income. You have high-paying W-2 income, family.
Yeah,
so
it's way easier to get a loan when they see that you have a job and it's a high-paying job.
Absolutely, because to them that means money guaranteed. So whether the business work out or not, you have income coming in that can pay them back the loan. So these are opportunities that we don't necessarily have when we go to the bank making $50,000 a year with no leverage. But now you come to the bank and you're making $150,000 a year. Now you have leverage. Add that with a nice credit score. Add that with a nice credit profile. Those things, when you come together, now you go to the bank and you're already pre-approved. You already got the loan. You just come in and pick up the cashier's check at that point. So these are opportunities that you have. And then on the other side of it, let me see, hold on, because I don't want to go into this if you didn't mention it yet. Okay, so that's another opportunity that is within itself in the tech industry, right? I was gonna get into the community building, but I'm gonna wait for you to segue us into the community building as far as LinkedIn and things like that. So those are some of the culture, shocks and the different things that I realized working in tech. Like, whoa, I wake up in the morning. Long as I get to my meetings, my scheduled meetings, I'm in charge of doing all of the other tasks for the day. Okay, I can work where I want to work. If I want to be in the house on my computer, or if I'm going to Dallas or I'm going to LA, I can do my work in the airport. And when I get to the hotel, I can finish up the work for the day. Right, that's another thing. And then, hey, I'm making a whole lot more money than I made before, and the track to level up or to increase as far as get a promotion or to increase your money is exponentially faster in the tech industry than any other industry. Exponentially. Now, Cyrus will let you know his story. 6 months in the game, he had another offer that offered him exponentially more money than he was making, right? Usually within a year, you are going to be making at least double what you made at your first position. Usually through another company, but you're going to be making at least double what you came in at. So if you come in at 65,000 or 80,000, you're going to be looking at 120 to 160,000 just by going to another company or increasing in the role that you're working in, and you have proven results that you actually performed in your previous role. Yeah. So those are important.
Yeah, no, that's good. Bro, now you dropping all the gems right now. Now I love you sharing all of this. It's so interesting because I feel like every week when I go live, for those that like come on to lives pretty frequently, y'all realize how all the stories are similar. Even we see Miss Shabby _ who's in the comments right now. She's in tech. She came on, shared the same story. I mean, there's a few people that have been here in the chat that like have shared similar stories, experiences. Even people that have been in tech and didn't do a boot camp. You know, they all can like vouch for like what this industry is like. And so
absolutely,
I really love hearing it and love seeing it. So you broke into the industry. Now I love all the gems you're dropping about how you can leverage both the income as well as the flexibility of being able to whether work from home or if you're traveling, if you need to be somewhere else and work from there, like you're able to do that, but how you're able to leverage that and whether pour your money into a business or now you're able to leverage that W-2 income, that guaranteed earned income to be able to get a significant loan and pour that into your business. So I love you touching on these things. Now, since you've been in the tech industry, I've been seeing everybody that's on here that follows Cam, make sure y'all follow him for those that don't follow him. But I've been seeing, like everyone else, you've been talking about the tech industry on your page as well. And so if I could ask, because some people get in tech and they're cool with getting the money, they're cool with the benefits, they don't really care to talk about it on their page. I would like to ask, why do you choose? Because there's a lot you had already been talking about on your page. You already have a lot of content, you have a lot of focus. You know, I see you at different events all the time that are not tech related events. They're events that are for the community, for the people. what made you decide, out of all of the important topics that you already talk about, what made you decide to say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and like bring tech into the fold of the conversations that I'm having with my larger community?
Absolutely. The number one reason was because I didn't have nobody to share that information with me. That was the first thing. Outside of finding your page, right? Nobody personally, because I know somebody personally. Matter of fact, he was just in Atlanta like last week. He know Tay too. Tay on Tech. They know, yeah, they know each other, right? So that's a whole another conversation. We talk about that offline. But he's in tech, and we went to high school together. And I reached out to him when I first started about getting into tech, and he didn't give me any useful information. You know what I'm saying? So I was upset about that, and I talked to him about it. I told him like, bro, like, you didn't give me nothing useful about this. So that's the number one thing, right? Because I've been able to transform my situation, and I come into this new industry and I see how it can help my people. And I know, because I'm walking proof of it, then why wouldn't I not share it with my broader community? So that's the first thing, right? That's the first thing. And then the second thing is because I know most of us are striving to get into entrepreneurship. And the number one thing I'm not gonna say the number one thing, but one of the top things that stop us from being able to scale in business is the fact that we don't have access to capital. And one of the ways that we go for access to capital is either through investors or through loans at the bank. But we not set up properly in order to be approved for loans at the bank. And then we don't necessarily have everything that we need in order to get an investor. You know, you see what I'm saying? It's a lot of things. It's beautiful to have a good idea when it comes to having business, but investors don't put their money into ideas. They put money into things that have a proven model of success, and that they can put their money could actually scale what you've already been doing, right? Mm-hmm. So, and put it on a larger platform so more people can see it, and obviously you can make more money. But we have a lot of good ideas, and we want investors to invest in our ideas, and that's not necessarily the case. So what we have to do is, through the tech industry, I'm teaching people that should be your first investor. Your job should be your first investor, because you can control all of the cash flow. You can control the profits and losses. If you lose some money because you invested it into your business, that's on you. You ain't got to worry about nobody looking for you. Nobody's Googling where you stay at to come see you about that bread that you lost. You don't got to do about none of that because you invested in yourself. So the hardest thing is having a job that actually pays you enough to be able to do this. Because people will tell you, well, you want to take the money from your job and invest it into your business, which is true, but that's not the same for a single person with no children versus a person that got 3 children, right? Yeah. So that's a totally different ball game. So the tech industry allows you to make those high earnings, those high paying salaries that you have a couple dollars left over that you can invest into the community. And then what you do from there is you start small and grow large. See, my teacher, the Honorable Ms. Lewis Farrakhan, says start small and grow large. So you can take a little bit of money from the leftover that you have, and you can start investing it in influencer marketing. You can invest in the creation and the development of a product. You can invest in all different aspects, and then you can just grow from there. And you do that through the investment that you have with your job, and then you're able to go to the bank now after you've been showing some progress and you have those W-2 to back you up. Now you can go and get you a line of credit for $50,000. You can now go to the bank and get you a loan for $50,000, and then you can do that. See, it's all off your muscle. So then if you decide you're going to go to an investor, and you can tell the investor, I done put $50,000 in. This is what we've been doing for the last 2 years. This is how many copies I sold. This is how many clients I have. This is what my portfolio look like, right? So now investors say, okay, well, you done put $50,000 in. I can match your $50,000 because I see the work that you done put in and things of that nature, right? Yeah. But you should do that, and you should be able to use your job as your first investor. And exactly. The second thing is too, you can actually learn so much about business working in the tech industry, specifically in tech sales. Yeah. Because a lot of their business is B2B businesses where they're negotiating and socializing business relationships with companies, with influential people within the company, brokering deals. You have to learn the process in which they submit proposals for big deals. So why not learn all of that information and then apply it to your business? because
Yes, exactly.
that's how they get these government contracts. This is how they're not doing no small figure business. They're not doing $500 products, $1,000 products, whatever the case may be. You dealing with companies that are selling software for nothing and services for no less than $20,000 per job, per
Yeah,
client,
exactly. Yeah,
right?
and
And that's
sometimes if we're talking enterprise tech sales, it could be $1 million, like $1 million deals.
ServiceNow to get the licensing for ServiceNow minimum for a company is $50,000. That don't include implementation. That don't include anything other than just the licensing. That don't include the other aspects that are included in ServiceNow. 50K, right? So this is what you're talking about. So once you actually go through a full deal on a ServiceNow deal, you're talking about $500,000. You're talking about $250,000 deal that you're working, and you learn to understand how to close these large ticket deals, which is totally different from the mindset of a small ticket deals. And one of the books that we read in Course Careers is called Spin Selling, and Spin Selling really hones in on the idea of big ticket purchases and small ticket purchases, or big ticket sales and small ticket sales, and the different type of conversation that you have to have. So you learn so much about business and sales in working in tech sales with these companies that information is valuable for your own company.
You know, bro, you dropped a lot of heat right there. A lot of heat, man. Like, man, I love how this conversation has gone far beyond just breaking into tech, but how to leverage working in tech to just broaden just the opportunities in your life. I love that we're talking about this so much, because honestly, these are the bigger conversations we need to have. Okay, what do you do now that you're in tech? What is the next thing? And one thing I want to add with what you said, when he was speaking about the opportunity to be able to take your W-2 income, your earned income, and being able to invest that into your business. And then after your business has shown some level of profit, now you can go to banks or you can go to some type of investor. Another route as well is sometimes some of y'all will find that taking your tech money and pouring it into your business, you'll get to a point to where you actually won't even need investors. And because I remember, like, with Tech is the New Black, that was my plan. I was like, okay, I'm gonna pour this money into the podcast. I'm gonna pour it into this, grow it, scale it. We're gonna get different brand deals, get all different types of deals and relationships. And then we got to a point. I remember when we got to a point to where we actually were finally ready to go and get a loan. I was on the phone with a homeboy of mine who he's worked with several banks, and I was asking him, I was like, okay, what's the best bank or credit union that I should go to? And then when he asked me, he was like, okay, well, how much do you make a month? You know, like, how much do you make a month working in tech? Like, what are you usually making? I said, okay, I'm making this amount. I was like, I'm making, at the time, I was like, okay, I'm making $157,000. Now, at the time, it was $230,000. That's after I started my third tech company. So I was like, yo, I'm making $230,000 for my job in tech. He was like, okay, cool. He was like, how much money is your business making now? Just, you know, and again, I took my tech money, poured it into the business. He was like, how much money is your business making now, at least a month? I was like, I'm making a little over $50,000 a month. And then this is what he said to me. He was like, bro, you're on the phone with me right now asking me about the best bank or credit union to go to get a $100,000 loan. He was like, what do you need the loan for? And I sat there and thought about it, and I was like, I don't need a loan. He was like, bro, your business is profitable. So to this day, Tech is the New Black, we've never taken out a loan, and we don't need a loan. Lord willing, we never will need a loan. And so again, I just wanted to kind of mention how everything bro said is straight facts. But some of y'all will be like that, where you will take your tech money, pour it into something you're passionate about, pour it into something that's your purpose. And yeah, you would be set up to where you can get a loan or you can go to investors. But some of y'all will find yourself in a position to where you'll be like, yo, my business is making so much money right now. Like, a loan for what type of thing? Like, what would we need a loan for type of thing? So I just want to like kind of add that addition that I believe that'll happen for some of y'all as well.
Absolutely. And you said it, bro. Like, you literally became the bank. So you had to think about it, because, you know, we've been trained that we actually need banks. And banks are just businesses that are set up to manage your money. So, you know, and then this society has created these apparatuses like debit cards and credit cards and direct deposits and stuff like that, where they make you have to go through a bank. But literally, the bank was set up for people who did not know how to manage and keep their money. So, so with that being said, we've been taught and trained that we need the bank. But if you get to a particular point where you are cash flowing like Cyrus is, then there's no need for the bank other than the fact that you needed to push money through for different, for different business reasons and bills and bill expenses and things of that nature. But as far as going to them for money, you don't need them to go, you don't need them to get money from. You just need to do what they do to amplify the money that you have, because the banks don't keep money. They don't take your money and keep it there for you to come back and invest it. Exactly. They take the money and they invest it so that they can continue to have money, because they're a business at the end of the day. So, you once you get to that point, then you move it at a different level. But absolutely. So
yeah, bro, man, I love it, man. I love these conversations so much. This is really informative, and honestly, this is where the conversation should start to go to, where it's like, hey, take this really high earned income in the tech industry, and what are you going to pour it into? What are you going to put it into? Last thing I want to ask you, and this is kind of like another direction or route we can go, and then we're going to get to y'all's questions. Make sure y'all are putting your questions in the question box, and then we'll get to as many questions as we can while I have BrotherKingCam on here. So, all right. So we talked about breaking into tech. We talked about being able to take that money and pour it into something that's your purpose, your passion, your business, whatever that might be. And whether you're going to use that to grow the business, to then show proof of concepts and now get a loan, get an investment, or now be your own bank and just kind of bankroll your business that way and scale it. Other thing to talk about, you mentioned this earlier, is platforms like LinkedIn or GitHub and the value of networking at tech events, networking online within tech communities. Like, what would you say is the value of that? And really just anything, even if you're thinking of a tangent, something that's kind of a tangent off of that. Like, what are some of your thoughts and words on that?
Well, for people who are like you and I, right, who have bigger aspirations, visionaries for things that they're looking to build and wanting to add more to not only themselves but to their communities, then it's extremely vital, because you learn how important relationships are in business. All of these tech relationships that we talked about earlier, those big money deals and things like that, all of those things are off of relationships. Because when you think about it, a lot of these tech conferences, all of those CEOs and C-suite individuals, they're there conversating with others in business who could possibly have a solution for their company. Yeah. So this is where the business starts, with the community building and going to these different things. And from the relationship, then you get into a meeting. And then from the meeting, this is how you start the sales process, right? So that's extremely important. So when you talk about these platforms with LinkedIn and things like that, then you have an opportunity to now let people get familiar with who you are, what your personality is, what is your authentic self, right? And what value can you bring to their specific company? Because relationships are very, very important. I can't continue to say that enough. If you're talking about to continue to grow your income, if you're talking about building a business, if you're talking about building whatever it is that you're building, then you have to have those strategic relationships. So you should start with utilizing these platforms such as LinkedIn and such as others that allow you to showcase your skills and your talents. Because all of us have gifts. All of us have talents, right? All of us have something that we can bring to the table, but it first starts with yourself believing in what it is that you have and then putting it out for other people to see. All of us have a unique story. It's not about Cyrus's money that he makes in tech that necessarily draws most people to his information. It's his story, because Cyrus has a unique, authentic story that is relatable to each and every one of us. Right? So just like Cyrus has a unique story, I have a unique story. You all that are on this live have a unique story. And if you tell your story and how you've been able to overcome the obstacles and the traumas and the different things that you've been able to overcome, then that's what's going to draw people in to help you build whatever it is that you build. Yeah. So on LinkedIn, you're able to tell your story, you're able to give your perspective, and you're able to teach, and you're able to educate those that are looking at you based on the experience that you have, based on the knowledge that you have, and your authentic self. You are what makes you original, right? My brother Ben X says that all the time. You are what makes you unique. So you have a unique way of teaching information. You have a unique way of connecting with different individuals. So you let your personality shine and use these platforms, because these platforms will allow you to build these relationships. So God forbid there ever be a layoff at these big companies like they have at Google or Amazon or Apple and things of that nature. Then you built up relationships with other recruitment people and talent acquisition people and CEOs and CFOs at companies, and they've seen the work that you do. They've seen how you impact the company. They've seen how you help the community. Then you tell them, hey, you know, my company just laid off. They'll tell you, we've been waiting for them to lay you off so we can bring you over here.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So
exactly.
as long as you got relationships and build community, authentic community with people, you'll never need for anything. The money won't ever be a problem. The problem is we spend a lot of time chasing the bag instead of necessarily building the relationships and impacting the people. See, if you impact the people, the money gonna come.
Yeah.
If you impact the people and change lives through your testimony and through your story, then people not gonna mind sending money your way. See?
Yeah.
See, so you have that there, and those platforms are just tools for you to be able to do that. So you're able to showcase your impact, and you're able to now have companies that want you to come in and speak to their technology, to speak to their services, to represent the brand that they have to larger platforms and things like that. And in society today, with all of the companies looking to diversify with the terms that they use is minorities. I don't use that term, but the minorities, and you know, they want to make sure that they're hiring Black people. They want to make sure they're hiring specifically Black women, and you know, and Black men as well. Then there are opportunities there for you to come in and for them to pay you a bag for you to do what you do. Yeah. Right. But if you don't take advantage of those opportunities, then they'll never know that this is what you do. So they'll give you a bag to do what you do. Yeah.
Bro, I actually love that you touched on that. And that was actually a missed opportunity for me to ask you about that. So we can kind of like circle back a little bit on that. So for those of y'all that don't know Brother Cam, he is, and bro, please correct me if I'm wrong. You're part of the nation, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so as a part of the nation, for those of y'all that don't know, the Nation of Islam, literally them being like very much so like just really pro-Black. I know many of us here are pro-Black, whether or not you're part of the nation. But those of you that know, the Nation of Islam are known for being very pro-Black, known for being leaders in several movements that have happened, whether in our generation or the generations before us, in leading charge in certain movements, whether we're talking about, you know, Brother Malcolm X, whether we're talking about Louis Farrakhan, whether we're talking about, I believe it's Khalid, was it Khalid? Who passed about 30 years ago. Rest in peace to him. And so with that, one of the things that comes up often that I see people that aren't in tech, that are interested in getting in tech is, hey, do you feel like this industry, and of course we can't speak for every company, but hey, does this industry, are they actually open to hiring people of color or Black people or brown people? And I love the fact that you're so involved in, again, the nation, but also you're in the tech industry and recently got in. So what was kind of what was your experience like mentally, emotionally, basically kind of marrying the two of, hey, there is racism that exists both in the world as well as in the tech industry. You're not going to be able to fully escape it, but hey, there are certain discrimination and things that exist like that. But what has your experience and process been like with being in the tech industry and kind of like processing basically like some of the expectations? So really just if a person's like, hey bro, is this industry for Black people? Like, are they actually open to people of color being in this industry? What would your answer be to that?
Yes, sir. So my answer would be to that question. Yes, the industry is open to Black people. What we have to realize is that we have to hold ourselves to a higher standard. And what I mean by that is that not to excuse behavior of others. Yeah. And I'm not saying to excuse behavior of others, but what happens is people will respect you if you respect yourself, right? So when you show up to a job or you show up to anywhere and you come professionally dressed, you are able to articulate yourself. You are oftentimes not showing up on time, but showing up early. If you are a man or a woman of your word, if you have good work ethic and you execute and you do the things that you are supposed to do, and obviously you perform, it's not really much wiggle room for one to come to you to be able to say anything outside of what they've been presented with, which is, you know, a person of good character, a person of, you know, high moral integrity, a person who is humble and obedient on time, things of that nature, right? So, of course, as you mentioned, you have these different areas that exist within all industries of racism and things like that. But when you present yourself with that level of knowledge and the discipline and the way that you move, then they have no choice but to submit to that. See, it's no choice. They have no choice but to submit to that because whoever has the higher knowledge is the one who's more superior. So that doesn't, and I'm not talking about you coming acting like you better than somebody else or them doing the same thing to you. But what I'm saying is a master would submit to a master. So for example, if you play basketball, right, and you're a really good basketball player, and you step on the court with some other D1 basketball players, your respect level goes up for the D1 basketball players because they are either on the same level as you or even higher. So you don't handle them the way you handle people who are less talented than you, right? Because you balling them up, you talking trash, you doing all that, but you get humbled quickly when you step on the floor with somebody who is on the same playing field or better than you. So it's the same exact thing when it comes to walking into these different industries and these different boardrooms and things of that nature. When you go in knowing who you are and you go in and you exude that excellence, not bowing, not bending, not going along to get along, but standing on your own principles and standing on what it is that you believe in and making sure that you are following the rules, because being obedient is important. You know, because if you want to establish, especially if you want to establish a business for yourself, you want your employees to be obedient to the rules and the regulations that you set. So the first way that you start that is by first doing that what you want somebody else to do. You can't ask somebody to do something that you're not willing to do yourself. So these are the type of things that we have to have in mind. And when we show up to these jobs and we show up to these places, they have respect for you. They might not like you for whatever prejudice reason that they have, but the respect will outweigh the like, and at the bare minimum, whatever it is that they have to say will be taking place behind your back and not to your face. I don't go to work looking to make friends, right? I'm not there to make friends. I'm there to perform, and I'm there to accomplish what it is I'm there to accomplish, and then I move on to the next thing that I have to do for the day. You see what I'm saying? That's not, especially, you know, in these type of arenas, these are not places to be making friends, so to speak. I'm talking about personal friends and telling people all your business and doing all that. Because what happens is they weaponize that stuff against you. You get a little too comfortable at the job, and you at the happy hour throwing stuff back with people, with your manager and all that. And then next thing you know, you slip up, you miss a couple meetings. Boy, you ain't getting them goals like you supposed to be hitting them goals. And then they call you in for a meeting, and they got all this extra stuff on there. And you like, wait a minute, we were doing that together. It don't go like that. It don't flow like that. But that's having that knowledge that allows you to do that. So go and handle your business, be professional, right? Execute and go above and beyond. And when I say go above and beyond, I'm talking about in your performance. Just be better. And when you better than them, then they'll have no choice but to bow to that. And then at that point, you have and then of course, if you're networking and, you know, community building and things like that, other people see you as well. So for whatever reason, if you have intention at one particular company, you'll have other companies can't wait to bring you on to have you bring whatever it is that you bring to their company as well.
Bro, I love that so much, man. Thank you for dropping all these gems and sharing a lot of nuggets that haven't been shared with my community. Man, I do want to honor your time because I know that that you already have something going on later on that you're doing some ministry of your own. So, bro, we can go ahead and jump and get to these questions that are in the question box. So I'm going to, for the sake of time, I'm going to ask the questions and I'll allow you to answer. If there's some 2 cents or something I'll sprinkle on it, I will. But if it's not necessary, then I'll just kind of leave it alone. Also, y'all, for the sake of time, if you're asking a question that is already answered in my FAQs, because I do have a list of FAQs, click the link in my bio, whether you want to see discounts to the boot camps or FAQs to, again, and I'll let you know which one of these questions I have addressed in my FAQs, then, you know, definitely make sure you check that out. All right, so first question, someone said that they said, I just finished careers. However, I started course careers, but never finished. Would finishing course careers speed up the job search process? Would you recommend? So I guess, so this person finished careers, which is the boot camp that I did. And they said that they started course careers, but never finished course careers. So they want to know, should they go ahead and finish course careers so they can have both course careers and careerists under their belt? And if that will probably speed up the job searching process?
Well, I would say, I don't know if it'll necessarily speed up the job process because you already have a tech boot camp on the resume. You know, it's good if you're going back to learn another skill, but really it's not necessarily the boot camp that is affecting the job process, so to speak. Is really what you're doing during the job process. So, you know, that's putting in applications. And of course, you know, we become discouraged, or, you know, we become, we start to feel a certain type of way where we're not getting the results that we thought we should have within the first 60 days, 90 days, things like that. But it's really honestly about just staying consistent and looking at the small things. What are you doing in the interview process? You know, how are you articulating? Maybe you should do some mock interviews with a person if you haven't been able to find a job. Maybe you should do some mock interviews with somebody that is from that boot camp that can help critique what it is that you're doing, because the interview process is so important when it comes to landing a job. I'm talking about the way that you are able to express the information with confidence now. Not just expressing it, but express it with confidence so you sound like you know what you're talking about. See, it's one thing to sound like you done went to school for something and you know the general information, but to speak to it with a level of confidence that screams experience, or if I can't validate he got experience, he sure enough talk like he got experience, we're going to try this out. Right? Yeah. That is extremely important. And I found out it's not necessarily the information, not the boot camps that people struggle with. It's really that interview process. The way that resume look and the way that interview process go is really what stops people from being able to land a job. So I don't think finishing course careers, if you already finished careers, would speed up the job process. I think you just need to kind of continue what you've been doing and just get better, refining the process, and then you should be good.
Yeah, I agree 100% with everything he said. Not even worth me add anything else because he answered that well. All right, so, and if Shanae or any of the tech recruiters that were in the comments, I saw a few tech recruiters that were in the comments a minute ago. They might be able to answer this even more thoroughly, this next question. But the question is, what kind of retirement and medical benefits does tech offer? We hear all the time PEO, or unlimited PTO is what they're referring to. But aside from unlimited PTO or unlimited paid time off, what are some of the retirement or medical benefits that the tech industry offers?
Well, yeah, that would definitely be an HR question. So, I mean, pretty much you mentioned it. Not every company offers unlimited PTO or, you know, any that type of stuff. So that's company by company. But that's definitely an HR question. I mean, you get your traditional 401ks. You know, you have the medical, the dental, the vision, you know, all of that kind of stuff. Some companies offer a lot of companies are adopting, you know, the extended maternity leave for women, because that's extremely important, because the time in which a woman has to go out and then that whole time of giving birth and then just going through the postpartum process is a very trying for women. So a lot of companies are adapting the maternity leave that not only is extended time for women, but also extending it for men as well.
Yeah,
Because if your wife
I was
goes out,
wondering if you were gonna touch on
yeah,
that part. Yeah,
yes,
that's what's
sir.
really unique about tech, how they'll extend the maternity leave even for the husbands or
For the
the
husbands,
spousal
yeah.
partner.
Because it's so important, because it takes community to raise a child, and
Yeah.
especially if you got a newborn, an infant, things like that, you need as many hands on deck as possible. So those are some of the things that I've been seeing. But yeah, that'll definitely be more of a HR question that gets into specific.
Yeah, yeah. And I agree entirely. It does vary company by company when we talk about some of the more like granular medical benefits. Because I was at a tech company. I've only been in one company that did this, but I was at a tech company where they covered 100% dental, vision, and health. And when I say they cover 100%, that meant with a zero deductible. So if anything happened, and I think it was up to, I think when it came to like the health component, I think it was up to $500,000, meaning that if, Lord forbid, well, I guess not Lord forbid, nothing did happen. So if something had to happen to me while I was at that company, like any type of injury, car accident, anything wild, that the company would have covered that well over like $250,000, and I wouldn't have had to come out of pocket at all. And so, but again, that's unique to that company. And so different tech companies have there are certain general things tech companies offer, like if you're working from home or working remote or hybrid, they'll cover your Wi-Fi. They'll cover certain things, give you like at-home office equipment. Usually they'll cover your gym membership. But then when you talk about like other special, unique components, that does vary case by case or company by company.
Yep.
All right. So, all right. Advice for those people who are looking at tech as a second career, and really they wanted to emphasize ageism in tech. So is ageism in tech a big thing? And I addressed this question in my FAQs, but I think it's still important to address it.
Oh, so that's more like some people are a little bit older, have already had a career, and they're looking to probably transition.
Yeah, basically, is the tech industry very biased against older people?
So in my experience, I would have to say no. I don't know. I have a limited view as far as that is concerned, because I haven't seen it. I have people that work in my company that are obviously older, and I'm talking about like 60s, in their 60s or whatever the case may be. But they've actually been working in the tech industry for 30, 40 years or whatever the case may be. So they've been in it for a long time. So they're not just new coming in. So I don't think necessarily that they bias. I think they looking really, what a lot of tech companies are looking for, people who can actually do the work. So I think if you can do the work, then I don't think that the age is necessarily going to be a problem. The only problem you will run into is obviously the technical component, as far as utilizing CRMs and, understanding how to, send out emails and all of that type of stuff. So the tech curve is there, but other than that, then I don't see that.
Yeah, I believe whether we're talking ageism, racism, sexism, any of those isms, the most important things in general when it comes to this industry is if you are competent, hardworking, and if you're able to, going back to what he was saying earlier, if you're able to confidently communicate what you've learned via the boot camp or whatever resources you've been able to pull from. So I know about 3 different people that are in their early 60s that all broke into tech in the past year from doing a boot camp. One of my cohorts when I did careers, one of my cohorts was in his 60s, and I can tell you that when he was a cohort of mine, it was his 3rd time doing the boot camp. Now, he didn't have to pay 3 times, but he just wanted to do the boot camp 3 times. Now, why did he do the boot camp so many times? Because even when he was a cohort his 3rd time, he had yet to apply to even one tech company. And when we asked him, we were like, yo, why aren't you applying? He basically said, and he was an older white dude, again, in his 60s. Mm-hmm. He was like, I'm older, and I don't think, basically he allowed the fear of ageism to hold him back from stepping out there. And then once he finally stepped out there, now he works as a sales engineer in tech. And so the biggest thing more often than not is if you're competent, again, not being a genius, but are you competent? Are you competent? Are you hardworking? And are you able to confidently communicate the information that you gained from the boot camp or whatever other resource you took to get in the industry? Don't allow your fear of any, again, ageism, sexism, racism, whatever that might be, do not allow the fear of that to cripple you, because that holds more power than any prejudice that's out there.
That's right.
All right, so someone, well, you addressed this question earlier. So someone asked, they said that they're about halfway done with course careers. They're asking if they should apply now. I've seen some situations like, like BrotherKingCam, where he was saying that he was instructed to wait until the course was over. And I've seen some where people got jobs before they finished the boot camp. Usually I encourage people to apply before, but I would submit to what he said earlier, where it's like, if you're not sure you're able to confidently and competently communicate what the role is, then you probably shouldn't be out. You at least shouldn't be out there interviewing. Like, you definitely shouldn't be out there interviewing if you're not able to confidently and competently communicate the information, like BrotherKingCam was saying earlier.
Yeah, that's really what it is. I mean, if you feel like if you can do it, then do it. But it's just on you if you fumble the situation. So it's essentially if you that good in basketball and you want to go out there with the varsity and you play JV, then go out there with the varsity. Then if you can hold your own, then hey, that was a beautiful thing. You was able to do it. If you get out there and you get moved around and you get dumped on and they move you off the court, then hey, then you're not ready. So it's just as simple as that, you know what I mean? But if you think you can do it, I don't discourage people from not doing it. I'm just saying, if you want to make sure that you have the best chance, then I would suggest that you probably wait until you received all of the information, because they may hit you with a question that you're not familiar with, right? Because you didn't finish the course or something to that extent. So it just depends on how you feel, because you have people that can get out and just they can learn a little bit of something and then they can work around the rest, right? So that's possible. Anything is possible, but just make the best decision for you. If you feel comfortable with the information, go ahead and start applying, and then you can go from there.
Good stuff. So we got a couple more questions on here that we're going to address. And again, y'all, if you do not see or hear your question being brought up, it's because it's either something that we mentioned already during this interview, or it might be something that's already answered in my FAQs. Same thing. Click the link in my bio. You can check those out. So the next question that we have is, they said, I want to pivot from doing tech stuff, meaning like something actually technical, because half the jobs in tech, like the jobs that we're talking about right now, are considered non-technical roles, but it's in the tech industry. So this person is saying that they do have a technical role. They want to pivot from doing technical and they want to pivot over to tech sales or sales engineering. So they want to know any advice that we have for them, for someone who wants to transition from being basically a programmer or doing something technical over to the sales engineering or technical sales sides of things.
Well, if you're already working for a company in the capacity of the technical side of sales, I would first have a conversation with my company and see what opportunities they have available on the sales side, and let them know that you're looking to move over to sales and that's something that you may be interested in doing, and see what they may advise you of as far as that's concerned. They'll say, hey, we love that. We love to bring you on the sales side, things of that nature. Kind of find out what the landscape is as far as your current company, and then move from there. If they're not willing, then you can always begin first, and you have to ask yourself, do you have the knowledge base? Because of being on the sales side, some people that work in the technical side still have access to the sales side where they're able to learn certain things, so you have to ask yourself that part as well, because is your company actually willing to train you? It may put you over there, but it may be something totally different to get the training. So you may need to, kind of ask those questions of your current company. If you are a person working technically and you don't have a sales background, and the job that you're currently with is not going to handle that part for you, then I would probably say that you might want to invest in a boot camp so that you can learn the tech sales side of things or the sales engineering side of things, so that you can begin to apply at jobs, and then you can speak to the sales information that you learn and not the technical information that you already know because of the experience and the other knowledge that you have. So that would be my suggestion with that.
That's good. And so I see a few questions on here that are all basically the same questions. I want to address this, and then I'm going to and then ask you to kind of answer the last questions on here. So I see a few people asking about when's the best time to apply to a tech, like a tech company, or when's the best time to basically start applying for jobs in tech, or is the summer a good time? Listen, y'all, the best time to apply to jobs in tech are now, like just in general, because don't try to find the best season to apply to jobs. Don't get so caught up in that.
Right.
What he was sharing earlier, he wasn't saying don't apply to jobs in tech in the winter. He wasn't saying that. He was just saying that many companies, the companies that have their Q1, their Q4 to Q1 during the winter, you might during that winter or that Christmas or that holiday season break, you might not hear from anyone during that time.
Absolutely.
But in terms of when's the best time to apply to a company, it's when the job is posted. So if you're trying to like wait and be like, I'm not going to apply to jobs until a certain season, that whole time you're not applying, people are applying and they're getting hired and they're getting jobs. So
right.
Yo behind, just be out there, like just get out there, apply, interview, network, do all of those things. Don't get caught up on a specific season, because plenty of people, again, if those of y'all that have seen my lives before, my IG lives of people getting jobs in tech didn't stop during the holiday season or during right. during January or February. So it's like, understand, people are still getting jobs. That's going to be you, or it's going to be somebody else, but somebody's going to be getting those jobs. So don't get too hung up on that.
That's right.
Yeah, definitely.
Somebody getting the job. So I would agree. I would agree with Cyrus. Apply now. Don't try to wait for the perfect time or try to get in right at the best time. No, just start applying now and start doing the work that's necessary in order for you to go ahead and get that job. Because what's for you is for you. So the timing is not going to stop that. But if you don't do the work, then that's what's going to stop you from actually getting what's actually yours.
Yeah. Yeah, and to add on what he was saying earlier about to that question when someone had mentioned wanting to pivot from doing something technical to working in tech sales, I say yes and amen to everything he said. Also, if your company wants you to get some type of sales or tech sales experience, you can leverage the money from your tech company. Most tech companies have an education stipend. So you can use your company's money to pay for the boot camp. So now you're not coming out of pocket, but now you're able to do the boot camp while working at your company. And once you finish the boot camp, you can then show your company, hey, I now have a tech sales certificate. And your company will more than likely say, yeah, we'll go ahead and transition you over to the tech sales department. So that will work out for you well. So last question, I'm gonna let you address this final question that is on here. Where is it? Where is it at? I literally just lost it. The question. Oh yeah. So they just wanted to know how many rounds of interviews did you have with getting your job? Like how many rounds did you have to do?
3. And I've been on several interviews, and I think that's pretty much the norm. The average is about 3 rounds of interviews. You have one interview with the initial one is going to be with the recruiter or the talent acquisition, and then the next 2 are going to be with people who actually work with the company. So the talent acquisition or the recruiter might not necessarily work for that company. They might be on contract just to find talent. So you'll have a interview with them where they'll kind of just cover the basics, and then they'll move you into an interview with probably someone in management, and then someone in senior management would be the 3rd interview. And and in my experience, they usually couple that together. So you'll have your first interview with the talent acquisition person, and then the second interview will be with someone in management, and then the 3rd interview will be with the person you previously had an interview with and the senior person that you had an interview with as well, just so everybody can get a feel for what you bring to the table, information, presentation, and things like that. So it's about 3 rounds of interviews.
Yeah, the most I've done with a few companies, I've done 4 rounds with a few companies.
Okay.
And I've heard stories of 5 rounds. I know people that have done 5 rounds of interviews, but yeah, generally when a company wants you and they're looking to hire, especially more entry level roles, yeah, more like 3 interviews. But of course, the more senior you go, sometimes you'll find yourselves in the weeds of like more and more interviews because they know they're about to be paying your butt a lot of money.
A
They
lot
like,
of
hold
money.
on.
They want to make
They
sure
like,
you the right one.
everybody got to talk to you to make sure you ain't crazy. Like, everybody got to talk.
Exactly. Wait a minute. Don't sign that off. Yeah, not that $300,000 salary. Wait a second. I need to talk to them first. For real.
Exactly. Hey man, this has been super good, dude. Bro, again, man, I appreciate you just as a person. Just just you and your wife, what y'all are doing in the community, what you do with your platform, your page, your content. Yeah, man, I love it so much, man. I love seeing people in this industry, but especially people that have a voice. Because again, I'm down for anybody getting in the industry, even if people just want to just keep the money to themselves and keep the information to themselves. It's like, cool, whatever, you blessed. But I really love it whenever I see people like yourself, like myself, and others like Sinead. I was here in the comments where it's like, yo, like we're like trying to put other people on and educate other people about the opportunities in this space. So, bro, I appreciate you so much, man. Thank you so much, dude, for coming on to the live and sharing gems. Man, deeply appreciate you.
Man, again, bro, I appreciate you and salute you for all the work that you're doing in the community, all of your time that you put into Tech is the New Black, and your Instagram lives, and just making sure you continuously feeding the people for free these information and these jewels that are actually getting people paid. Cyrus is giving you information for free that's getting you paid high 5 figures and 6-figure jobs, right? So that's a beautiful thing, right? In and of itself. And then shout out to the family that came through. I seen a lot of my people in the comment section as well. So shout out to the family that came through. Appreciate your community, all of the good comments, all of the different feedback and things like this. And if I didn't have anything else to do, we could go another 30 minutes or however long you want to go and just get into tech if I didn't already have a prior engagement. So that means we got to do the podcast, but we don't have no time crunch where we can really dive into some stuff and really go in, because there's a lot of stuff I wanted to speak to and questions that I saw that I'm not able to do just because we on time constraints right now. So, but yeah, bro. So ask the people. Let the people decide if we're gonna get a Tech is the New Black episode, where we can dive into some different things. Like
we definitely got to do that. We definitely got to do that. Look, y'all, for those of y'all that are in Atlanta, this is Atlanta Tech Week. There are tech events, mixers. I'm literally leaving as soon as I hop off of here. The reason I'm dressed up is because I'm about to go to some mixers.
There you go.
I'm about to turn up, have a good time. So look, y'all, even if you're not in tech, if you didn't register for a conference, go on Google, go on Eventbrite, go on Meetup, look up Atlanta Tech Week and look up all the parties, mixers, so you can mix and mingle. You can talk to people. You have a good time. Most of these mixers are completely free, so you can go there, have a good time, connect with people, all of that. Bro, love you so much. Love all y'all that came on, bro. All those from Cam's community. Thank y'all for coming on, showing love. It's a good live, bro. I appreciate you, dude.
Yes, sir. Peace.
All right, y'all.